Hey bro, how are you doing? I have to say that your light isn't shining as brightly as usual. Head is low, as if it's ready to punch the ground beneath you. I don't know what happened to us, and when I say us, I mean our community. It's as if every single time we try to rebuild our empire, the walls fall through. The light bulbs flicker curiously at the shadows until the darkness surrounds the room. Blackout. Blackout Tuesday, they say. One day of the week. One day of the week where our white counterparts let us speak. Well, let us speak now, but this time you must listen. Listen to the crowd of cries that are suddenly louder, roaring over the excuses. Too loud for anything or anyone to be overpowered by it. Now please pay attention. I'm running low. We are running low. I just feel like I can't breathe. I feel like I can't breathe anymore. And the voices in the room are trying to silence me. I keep trying to find everyone, but they are all silent. And I can't fix the lights, and I can't see their faces. But they're all gasping for air, trying to figure out how the hell we got here. Look up, look down, look at me. You look smaller. No, you look taller. Open your eyes, open your ears, open your mouth. No, turn around. No, drown out the sounds. Drown out the blaring noise of the multicolored vehicles that keep coming and going, coming, going, going. It's just a trend. It's not actually trending anymore. And I'm tired of our whitewashed history. And I'm tired of peering at my screen shaking, reading someone else's version of my lived experience. How does that even make sense? But then again, things aren't making sense. Nothing is making sense. Am I being too intense, or am I not being intense enough? Because the problem is the racism in these white institutions. The problem is that I'm stuck trying to find my identity because my history was taken away from me. As I open my lock screen and swipe my fingers in a downward motion, pondering about whether I can even gather my strength. Frantically checking social media, feeling the sweat drip from my scalp, taking gradual deep breaths to try and calm myself down. I look at my phone. I look at my phone. I look at my phone. Passive-aggressively, my subconscious speaks to me. Oh yeah, I saw that post. You know, the one where someone shared something about the protests, demonizing the whole movement. You know, the one where you had to justify your whole entire existence. It's like a broken record. I feel like a broken record. I went to the protests and it was different. It's like there's 3 types of white people. The I don't give a damn, the walking off into the distance like our ancestors didn't die for their privilege, or the turning their backs on the culture that gave them so much sweet soul that has been taken, tampered with, stolen, disrespected and unprotected, but the sweetness has never tasted so sour. Because newsflash, the Black Lives Matter movement has been going on for years. Here's to the, I had no idea that you were feeling this way. I just feel so guilty. 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 The police officer is guilty for his crime. George Floyd died. Head, neck, chest, face, arms on the ground. 8 minutes. We kneeled for a whole 8 minutes, but it felt like hours, painfully kneeling to the silence of someone's lifeline. But this place that we like to call home is meant to be our lifeline. And as I watch you on this bench, it makes me think about the front line. The front line standing as the structure of this bench, holding on for dear life, holding on to the hope of not being chipped away by the very hands that touch it. Sometimes I come here and think about what our world would look like if we weren't so divided. Sitting here thinking about how we are going to move forward as a collective. But it's just a trend. It's not actually trending anymore. Should I make eye contact? Should I smile graciously at the very hands who once disgraced me? Would it be easier if I internalized all of the opinions and dealt with all this white superiority? Would it be easier if I went along with someone else's personal status quo? Would it be easier if I praised you for sharing a few posts? But it's just a post. No, it's not just a post. The only way that we can begin to shift this turmoil is to hold certain people accountable. Yes, you are accountable. You are going to hear us. You are going to hear me. Passive aggressively, my subconscious speaks to me. Lock us in places that triggers vulnerability. Exposure to the infectious particles dispersed into the air. Glazing over the insidious signs of sickness, scattering statistics all over the solid dirt. Dirt that compresses into the ground that stands as the ones that were forgotten fragility, white fragility. Instead of taking real time to understand what white privilege is about, they fling their privilege up in the air because when it doesn't concern them, they don't really care. But now they care. So they scream and they shout. They exhausted our very beings, soak up our strength until we run dry, undermining the exact experience that they will never know anything about, undoubtedly drained from the social media accounts. Dip their hands into a bowl of heat infused by the very creators of our system. So finally, we stand up, moving our limbs from side to side, lifting our arms upright to the sky, rotating our necks because the fight for our frontline continues to go on. Looking around for sirens, looking around for someone to really care about the next generation of black individuals. And I mean individuals, not just people of colour, not just fame. Say her name, say our names, say his name. Excuse me for not being politically correct, but being black is not just a number. Being black is not just a box that you can tick off your list. Being black is more than this. Looking around for faces, looking around for someone engaged with the actual words that were being said. Blaring out the voices of our brothers and sisters. Cities filled with peace and solidarity, globally screaming, no justice, no peace, no justice, no peace, no justice, no peace. This is where we come together and spread our sea of blood, covering the city in red, piling up our brothers and sisters, marching to the beat of change. It's just a trend. It's not actually trending anymore. But when you think about it, a trend is something that is popular and current at that time, immediately moving on to the next hot topic that snatches their minds. But it's real life. It's my life. It's his life. It's our life. Nobody wants to wake up feeling riddled with riots or vicious anxiety, manifesting actual insanity, having nightmares about their own reality. This is my reality. This is our reality. And as I open my screen, desperately, scrolling through my phone, eyes burning, throat choked, stomach in knots, I sit and I pause. Stop pondering about whether or whether not society actually has value for your life. But what can I do to make myself smaller? Shrink myself like a balloon after it's been popped by a sharp knife? ripping endless cuts until it turns into a disjointed wall of nothingness, with residue of our ancestors' blood seeping out. Years passed and we are still on the front line, inclined to be nothing, but when overt behaviour is disrupting chants of black is beautiful. Black is beautiful, black is bright, black is having the willingness to go on. Black is turning up to work with a smile on your face, only to be met by people's commentary about your race. Black is beautiful, black is kind, black is soul searching about your identity, because that was never taught in school. Black is being told to dilute your funk so that other people can feel comfortable. But wait, it's still real life. Black is peace, black is family, black is solidarity, black is caring about black lives. Black is caring about black lives. Black is caring about black lives. And as the voices arise from the Plymouth city centre hills, faces stare at me, knowing that they used being busy as an excuse. As we reach for normality, we realise that the same situations are happening. Oh, are you uncomfortable? Does this string of words make you uncomfortable? Let me define being uncomfortable. Being the only black person in the room. Being stopped by the police. Being stereotyped as angry. Being told that you don't have a history because the history was written by the winners at that time. Well, guess what? Black is the winner this time. And as you walk through the city, as your feet hit the pavement, look up. Don't look down. You're frowning as if somebody told you some bad news. Speaking of which, have you seen the news? It's like watching my whole life on a TV screen. Exhaustingly, my subconscious says to me, I will not get stuck in a suppression trap. I will not be afraid to fight back. Lift your head up like it's been touched by your ancestors, because you represent the lineage, the fine line that connects us all to each other. This city is filled with dreams, filled with stories, filled with history. Finally, we press pause on the oppression and we fast forward to the future. The tide has come in, and I can still read the writing on those little pieces of paper. The discoloured ink reads, black is coming. I want you to take it in. I want you to think about the fact that we made history. You are not just a minority. You stand as a metaphor for change, engulfed by the sea of universal reflection. Now is the time for redemption. This is for the people that stayed silent. This is for the people that cried tears through a time of trauma and rage. This is for the people that were left feeling estranged in their very homes. You are not alone. I am not alone. It's just a trend. It's not a trend. It's real life. It will always be real life.